Hello.
Man, what are you doing? Okay. 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 Nice.
Whoa!
What? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure that's the reason we're going up to Chicago.
No, you gotta look at the dates.
What's the dates?
This summer.
This summer.
I'm gonna do a Chicago trip this summer.
Oh, wait.
Thank you, Annie.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I don't think you want to
Okay.
go on December 24th at 12.
Sweaters, because I
What,
need
midnight,
clothes.
man?
No, 12 p.m. Noon.
Aw, this is so cute.
Is this
So
so
fuzzy.
little? So right now I'm doing double sticks. These are like weird things like the Diablo that are like, for juggling. And so my high score for flips is 10. And these were actually my dad's thing for Christmas, but he fails at it, so yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is a solar panel revolving plane that I got 2 years ago in this solar kit that you can make 6 things. Because you don't have to do much. All you gotta do is just set it up, and then it just keeps revolving. And then right about here it stops, or well, it keeps going right here. And when we made it, it was really hard because you like have to put the wires in springs. It is the solar plane. 3, 2, 1.
Oops.
Oh, Jackson! Put it up. Good try. Woo! The ball! The marvelous ball! This was for you, ball. This shot is for the ball. Let's go! Let's go! Yes, ball! Ball! Thank you. Thank you. It's called the ricochet shot. Oh! You were rolling.
If we used number 13, I'd go crazy.
Oh!
Yes!
Oh!
What can I say about them? They're used with chow mein noodles, chocolate, and Peeps and jelly beans as eggs. For Easter.
Mr. Energy.
This is my science project. It's like the model of a nickel atom. And like the story behind the nickels is, so at Science Olympiad, I found like 20 nickels in one day, one of which was inside an orange, and a couple more in which actually like hit me. So my friends and I decided Thomas Jefferson was haunting me, so I had to do this. We had to do a science project, and I chose a nickel. So I just like, there's like the electrons and protons and neutrons and stuff, and like the rings or whatever. And so we couldn't find a stand, so we did this. Which, okay, she's probably gonna give me an awful grade for effort.
Even 7 years after finishing first grade, I still have loads of happy memories left from a year that started me on the track of life. I remember as a first grader being entertained by all the fun little things we would do in Mrs. Miller's class. I remember all the songs we would sing, such as It's Surely English Time and Boom Boom, Brave to be Crazy. I remember the talking fish Mrs. Miller had and playing games like Four Corners and Red Rover. It makes me sad to hear that Mrs. Miller is leaving this year, at the same time as I'm remembering all the fun I had in her class. I remember going into 4th grade that I was so excited my brother was going to have her for 2nd grade, especially after being disappointed he didn't have her for 1st. I was barely in class for most of my 1st grade year since I was sick for several weeks with swine flu, and instead of doing normal math, I had math with Miss Pat Singer. I remember one time some of the 2nd or 3rd graders came in to do math with us. We were supposed to ask them math questions and see if they could answer them. And since we were learning less than and more than, I tricked them by asking if 10 million was less than or greater than 9,999,999. I also remember loving the extra classes with Mr. Walter and singing the We Love You, Mr. Walter song when he left. So now that I'm officially leaving school forever, I've had time to look back on the years I spent here. How in 1st grade, 8th graders were adults to me, and graduation was a lifetime away. Of course, 7 years is a lifetime to a 7-year-old. And even now, all these years later, I still remember all the things I learned in 1st grade, and there will always be moments from that year that influenced my life today. Thank you, Mrs. Miller, for helping me, my fellow classmates, and all the other students you taught get a head start in life.
Anna Holiday Pratt.
There lived long ago a tailor and his wife. And one day, while the tailor was hard at work, a little hunchback, who was also the Sultan's favorite jester, came and sat at the entrance of the shop and began to sing and play with his Diablo. Now the tailor was so amused with the fellow that he thought that he would take him home to
divert my wife.
When they reached the house, they found the table ready and laid for supper. And soon all three were sitting before a beautiful fish which the tailor's wife had cooked. But unluckily, the hunchback had to swallow a large bone.
Do something! Me? You do something. Do you think needs mouth to mouth? Nobody. Oh my. I think he's dead. What can we do? Police hear about this, you run the risk of being thrown into prison for willful murder. In order to prevent this dreadful calamity, they both set about inventing some plan which would throw suspicion on someone else. And at last, they made up their minds that they could do no better than select the Jewish doctor,
who looked qualified to take the blame for the crime. So they carried him to the doctor's house, and they knocked on the door. The doctor's wife soon appeared and graciously asked, "What do you want?"
"Tell your master we brought a very sick man for him to cure."
"My master, huh? Just who do you mean?"
"Your husband."
"Just you call him my master one more time."
So sorry, he doesn't know any better. Give your husband lists in advance that he may not feel he is wasting his time.
The doctor's wife ran to give the message to the doctor. And the moment she was out of sight, the tailor and his wife swiftly propped the body up and then ran home as fast as their legs could carry them. Now, The doctor was so delighted at the news of a patient, for he was old and did not have many of them anymore, that he jumped with joy.
Get away, he said to his wife.
Follow me as fast as you can!
Away, away!
He cried again, and when it was done, he saw what he had done. He was almost beside himself with terror.
Oh no! I've killed him! Perhaps he's only mostly dead, as you all know. Of their neighbor, the merchant. They carried him all the way down the street until they reached the merchant's house. When they saw the chimney, they dropped the hunchback in. They had scarcely left when the merchant
To see a man standing in my chimney. But being naturally courageous, I shall fight this thief to the death. You'll be sorry you ever came here to the house of the great Mr. Miyagi. Get over here! And it's just him out into the street.
And leaned him against the wall of the shop.
And he sneaked back to his own house. In this case, he jostled against the hunchback, who fell heavily upon him.
Oh my goodness gracious me! I mean,
Excuse me, but have you seen my favorite jester? He's about this high, bends over kind of funny.
Sire, don't you remember? He went out last night and he was found dead this morning.
Oh, he was?
yes, the chief of police had 4 people admit to the murder. Just now.
What? I want all the people involved in this put here at once. Hey, you, cut him down. The Sultan wants to see all these people. So they all went to the palace of the Sultan. When they arrived, the Sultan commanded them each to retell their story. One by one, the stories were told. And at the end, the Sultan just sat there, till at last. What a marvelous joke! Too bad it was his last. I shall have this written down. I'll never be able to keep it straight. I shall call my royal scribe to write it down. Royal scribe!
So in came the scribe, and the greatest joke ever was recorded.
A poem from Father Christmas to Priscilla Tolkien from the Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. Again this year, my dear Priscilla, while you're asleep upon your pillow beside your bed, old Father Christmas. The English language has no rhyme to Father Christmas. That's why I'm not very good at making verses. But what I find a good deal worse is girls' and boys' names don't rhyme either, and bother, either won't rhyme neither, so please forgive me, dear Priscilla, if I pretend you rhyme with pillow. As I was saying, beside your bed, old Father Christmas, afraid that any creak or hiss must wake you up, will in a twinkling fill your stocking. I've an inkling that it belongs in fact to Pater, but never mind, at 12 or later he will arrive and hopes once more that he has chosen from his store the things you want. You're 9:30, but I still hope you drop a line for some years yet. And don't forget Old Father Christmas and his pet North Polar Bear, and polar cubs as fat as little butter tubs, and snowboys and elves, in fact the whole of my household up near the pole. Upon my list made in December, your number is, if you remember, 56,785. It can't be wondered at that I am so busy when you think that you are nearly 10. And in that time, my list has grown by quite 10,000 girls alone, even when I've subtracted all the houses that I no longer call. You will wonder what's the news, if all's gone well, and if not, who's to blame, and whether Polar Bear has earned mark good, bad, or fair. Well, first he trod upon a splinter and went on crutches in November, and then one cold day in December he burned his nose and singed his paws upon the kitchen grate because, without the help of tongs, he tried to roast hot chestnuts. Wow, he cried. He used a pound of butter best to cure the burns. He would not rest, but on the 23rd he went and climbed up on the roof. He meant to clear away the snow that choked the chimney up. Of course he poked legs right through the tiles, and snow and tons fell on the bed below. He's broken saucers, cups, and plates, and eaten lots of chocolates. He's dropped large boxes on my toes and trod tin soldiers flat in rows. He's overwound engines and broken springs and mixed up different children's things. He's thumbed in books and burst balloons and scribbled lots of smudgy runes on my best paper and wiped his feet on scarves and hankies folded neat. And yet he has been, on the whole, a very kind and willing soul. He's fetched and carried, counted, packed, and for a week he has not slacked. He's climbed the cellar stairs at least 5,000 times, the dear old beast. Paxi sends love and Valgotucka. They are still with me, and they don't look a year older, but they're just a bit more wise and have a pinch more wit. The goblins, you'll be glad to hear, have not been seen at all this year. Not near the pole, but I am told they're moving south and getting bold, and coming back to many lands and making with their wicked hands new mines and caves. But do not fear, they'll hide away when I appear. Christmas Day by Ilbereth. Christmas Day has come round again, and poor North Polar Bear has got a bad pain. They say he swallowed a couple pounds of nuts without cracking the shells. It sounds a polarish sort of thing to do, but that is not all. Between me and you, he's eaten a ton of various goods and recklessly mixed all his favorite foods. Honey with ham, turkey with treacle, and pickles with milk. I think that a week will be needed to put the old bear on his feet, but I mustn't forget this particular treat. Plum pudding with sausage and Turkish delight, covered in cream and devoured at a bite. After this dish he stood on his head. It's quite a wonder the poor fellow's not dead. A response by the North Polar Bear. Absolute rot. I have not got a pain in my pot. I do not eat turkey or meat. I stick to the sweet. And that is why, as all know, I am so sweet myself, you sinuous elf. Goodbye. You know my friends too well to think, although they're rather rude with ink, that there are really quarrels here. We've had a very jolly year, except for Polar Bear's rusty nail, but now this rhyme must catch the mail. A special messenger must go in spite of thickly falling snow, or else this won't get down to you on Christmas Day. It's 2:30. We've quite a ton of crackers still to pull and glasses still to fill. Our love to you on this Noel. Until the next one, fare you well.